All right, you saw the title, the thumbnail. We got to keep it short because I have no idea when LeBron is actually going to sign. Maybe it's a dumb idea to actually try to do this tier list over 3 weeks after free agency began. But hey, I'll try to put it out the same day and just hope that it's relevant for at least one day. You saw the title, the description. We are breaking down every single possible option for LeBron today, including not just every NBA team, but every absurd possibility outside of there. So we have no time to waste. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Let's get into it. Let's not start too serious. First up, we got the Dallas Cowboys. So, if you've been a LeBron James fan or follower for long enough, you can remember back in 2011 during the lockout year that he once talked about going to the NFL after being an all-state high school football player. I believe got an offer from the Cowboys and the Seahawks, and would just be finally joining one of the biggest sports brands in the world. And you might think, 2011, that's quite a long time ago. Well, it is, but who expected to see LeBron James going into year 24 for basketball? So for this, I say all bets are off. Maybe he can go finally pursue football and go to one of the biggest sports brands. But unfortunately, I still have to put it in the absurd tier. Let's finally get to the NBA. First, we're going to do the Utah Jazz, which will be one of the lowest on our list. Great story. It's a franchise that I support very much. I cannot wait to see their young core this season. Expectations will be very low as far as what this team does this season for me. But besides trying to imagine LeBron James living in Utah and playing for his organization and playing with this young core. Besides having any fun thoughts about that, we have to put it in the no chance category. Let's get a little bit more interesting now. The Atlanta Hawks. Not sure if the Atlanta Hawks ever actually reached out to LeBron James during this offseason. I imagine most of the teams at least tried to. But in this role, he'd be a mentor role next to Jalen Johnson and this very quickly new look a Hawks team, and he would be more of a teacher on this team than perhaps a superstar. But the Hawks are not expected to be a contender, and besides just the fun thoughts again of seeing LeBron James play in Atlanta and try to live in Atlanta, we have to put it in the no chance, but I'm almost creeping into the probably not but fun to think about tier. And next here we have the Charlotte Hornets, and it will be the first of quite a few, let's call it, doing what Jordan didn't do or couldn't do. I don't know. I should have thought of the correct title before I hit record. But anyways, one of the funniest ideas, but also one of the lowest on the actual NBA teams list. But hey, they got rid of Miles Bridges, so at least I wouldn't mind having him on this team, and he can bring a championship there, but it would be pretty superhuman of him to do it. Shout out to the Hornets. Hopefully they improve this season, but we have to still put them in the no chance tier. Let's do a better team now, and one with a little bit more history with LeBron James, and that is the Detroit Pistons. Young team, first place in the East last season. Have been improving drastically over the last couple of years. Defensive-minded team, which is something that I hope that LeBron James ends up on when we actually talk about the actually makes sense tier of this list. But not sure if it moves LeBron to a closer title. It is fun thinking all the way back to the 2007 Eastern Conference Finals, that historic 48-point closeout game in Game 5. So this is one of the many teams we'll talk about in this video where LeBron James just has deep connections playing with or against this team. Let's move them up, and they will be my first. Probably not, but fun to think about because he'd still be back in the Midwest, and that is still a very young and talented team. All right, next up, let's talk about broadcasting. What could be ESPN, NBC, Amazon. Those are separate, right? NBC is Peacock. Yes, okay. And we would think that it would not be a possibility. Maybe LeBron James is almost quote unquote too big for that role, but hey, look at what Tom Brady does. So maybe LeBron James just says, you know what, I'm actually just done with basketball and I don't want to be a coach. I can't be an owner just yet, so I'm going to go do broadcasting for a while. And hey, maybe I could be the face of NBA on NBC, take over that role. Where should we put this at? I want to put it in no chance, but I will still put it in the absurd category. Next up, another young team, the Portland Trail Blazers, and certainly a team I'll be discussing in this offseason because not just the acquisition of Ja Morant, but with this new owner, very, very concerned about what's going to happen to this team, what's going to happen to the development of Scoot Henderson and everything else. And this is going right in the no chance category, but adding LeBron James just would not happen and not make anything easier for whatever this team is trying to build. Next, let's do a team that would never happen, the Toronto Raptors, and talk about history. This would be, to me, maybe the most fun team to discuss and ever think about, just because the history of LeBronto goes back way further than that 2018 series. So it has to go in the no chance category. Really cool city. Hopeful that Kawhi Leonard works out, and they should be improving. And as much as I would like to see a Kawhi Leonard next to LeBron James, even at this point in their careers, there's no chance that LeBronto would ever be playing in Toronto. Next are the Washington Wizards. All right. I have suspicion, I think the whole league does, that LeBron is waiting to see if there's going to be any more deals done with maybe Anthony Davis, or not sure if Kyrie Irving is mixed in with that, but for sure Anthony Davis. All right, first one would be the reunion with Anthony Davis. Second would be the second Michael Jordan didn't do or couldn't do category. But that's pretty much where the fun ends. Would Washington accept him? I'm sure they would. I'm sure the fan base would be fine to have him there, and it would be quite a run to a championship. But as much as I think a reunion with Anthony Davis might happen at some point, considering LeBron James might play more than 1 year, I don't think it's happening in Washington. Next, we have the Houston Rockets. Is having KD next to LeBron James enough of a legacy, greatest players of all time thing to make it interesting? I certainly do, and they are good enough on the defensive end where I want to say probably not, but fun to think about. Not someone that we heard mixed in with the top teams, and not sure if they ever reached out or if that discussion did ever go anywhere. But young, athletic, already competitive, certainly might have underperformed at certain points of last season. So I think the addition to him would be great, just not a team that is in the conversation. Okay, round 3 of something that Jordan tried doing. We have the Chicago White Sox. Okay, so we'll talk about two MLB teams here. Okay, so this one, not as good ownership. There's the Jordan connection, which is why the only reason why we're talking about it. But okay, LeBron. Not sure if he ever played baseball. Actually, I saw him hit a baseball one time when he was in high school for like a Nike promo video. It was when he was in high school. So he's done it at least one time. I'm sure there would be conversations with certain teams, especially another team we'll talk about. But that's it. I'm done. Absurd category. Next up, we have a good fit basketball wise, but maybe the least likely of any of the basketball picks we have, the Boston Celtics. There are connections, of course, with Jason Tatum, with being friends of him and USA Basketball, but seeing LeBron play in Boston is just something that would never happen, and that would be one of the weirdest jersey edits or jersey debuts or just legacies that I could ever imagine. I want to put it in no chance, but just for fun, let's put it in absurd. Next, we have the Sacramento Kings. If he played for Sacramento, he would not be the first player to play for the Kings and also live in Los Angeles. And I don't know how long, if it's less than an hour on a private jet to get back home, but that pitch would be very simple for Sacramento. They would say, come save this franchise, come light the beam, come win a championship with this team. And LeBron James could most likely get a statue right away if he went there. But we have to put it, of course, in the no chance tier. Let's do a fun one. Next are the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, we know what LeBron said about Memphis, and I guess it was mainly the hotel situation in Memphis. I'm not sure if he's talking about the proximity to the stadium, but I have to disagree. I think there are some pretty nice hotels in Memphis, especially the ones that the athletes usually stay at. But hey, LeBron, if you want to stay in the Western Conference and not worry about staying in a hotel room in Memphis, perfect idea for you. Just live in Memphis. Then you never need a hotel ever. But of course, this is a young, rebuilding team. So happy to see that they are rebuilding, moving on from Ja Morant, but they go in the no chance tier. Okay, next up we have the fourth Jordan connection and the biggest Jordan connection and possibly the weirdest LeBron James jersey edit that we could ever have. It is the Chicago Bulls, of course. And what if LeBron James could win their first championship since Michael Jordan had won them a championship? Would he be accepted in that city? I don't know. But yes, very weird legacy discussion. It would add on to the whole GOAT debate, which is tiresome. And of course, I say that as someone who put at least 6 different Jordan connections on this list. It goes in the no tier, but good luck to them next season. Staying in the Midwest, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis is gone. It would give LeBron James a chance to go back to the Eastern Conference, which I think he very likely will. And do they still have enough winning culture from the past, from winning the championship? I don't know. It's an interesting roster. It's not too fun for me to really think about, so I'm just gonna throw them over here in no chance. Now, I do assume that the Bucks have some cap room and could maybe offer LeBron James more money than other teams. And speaking of money, my next choice is Saudi Arabia. Of course, why not? We know that LeBron James traveled to Saudi Arabia. I think it was after Ronaldo signed his historic $700 million plus deal, and would never count it out for LeBron James, assuming that Saudi Arabia will eventually want to get into basketball. I mean, it's been what? Golf, soccer, boxing. What else have they got it into? What if they offer LeBron James $1 billion? Would it ever happen? And then Bronny and Bryce could go with him. The whole family could go. They had multiple properties there. It is in the absurd category, but come have this conversation in maybe a few years, and maybe it's not so absurd. Next up, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. Fun, young team. Have always been fascinated in the relationship between LeBron James and Zion Williamson. Also, between LeBron James and any player that's come into the league and has had that LeBron James or like next LeBron James comparison. Fun young team, but the health, including the health of Zion Williamson, does not make it a good fit. And I don't even know if they reach out to him at all. It certainly goes in the no chance category. Next are the Brooklyn Nets. I call it a big market, but I guess it's just more of a team that could make one of the biggest offers to LeBron James given how much money they have in this offseason, and don't know what else they are planning to do for this offseason, frankly. There's been other stars like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, just the ones recently that have come in and have tried to win there and haven't, and they can certainly help with a culture shift there. And I know I'm kind of repeating myself over and over, but they are a team that I'm looking forward to seeing develop, but they go in, of course, the no chance tier. Next, we have the Indiana Pacers. We all saw that Tyrese Halliburton sent a message trying to recruit LeBron James to the Pacers, which he laughed off. Of course, he's not going there, but it is a great basketball culture. We're looking forward to seeing Tyrese Halliburton healthy, hopefully back for most or all of the season, but just would not see LeBron James there. And yeah, he did get a fan kicked out of there one time for saying some pretty awful things, apparently. Next up, we have the Phoenix Suns. I guess there have been some connections with LeBron James and Phoenix when his free agency has come up before. It's certainly a city that has a lot of money and a team owner that is new and encouraged to spend money. Not sure how the cap space will work out here. I would say that LeBron James would never play with Dylan Brooks, but then again, he did play on a team with Lance Stevenson at one point. So, I don't know. But you know what? Just because I kind of like the fit and the city, and we haven't had it in a while, I'm putting it in the probably not, but no chance, but fun to think about. I don't know. It's fun, though, right? It's fun. Okay, what about the Los Angeles Clippers? Kawhi's gone. He could stay in LA. It's a slightly different commute. You got the new arena, team with, you have to imagine a lot of pressure. You have to imagine there would be a lot of pressure to just try and win now, but also a team owner that has more money than most other owners combined, so that always helps. I'll put it in the probably not surprised we didn't have more talk about it. Pretty much next to zero from what I heard, just because he could stay in LA, but I guess the Clippers, I guess I don't know what the Clippers are doing for this next season. Okay, it can't happen this next season, but how about Vegas? Vegas expansion, you have to imagine that LeBron James will be part of that somehow as a minority owner. They will be voting on it, I guess, before 2026 is over. So I don't know. I'll put it in probably not, but fun to think about, because we can't snap our fingers and have it happen this next season, but and then would the NBA ever allow a minority owner to be a player? I know they let Jordan do it, but then the ending of that wasn't the best as it was. So I don't know, but certainly fun to think about beyond this year. Okay, how about the other team in Florida, the Orlando Magic, young core, Paul Banchero, which not the LeBron comparison, but it is has some LeBron qualities to him. He could go back to the Eastern Conference, good defensive team, and Orlando has been more quietly building something. I think they underperformed in the regular season, perhaps performed to their expectations in the postseason, and LeBron James would be the biggest star that they've had there in quite some time, in almost 20 years. So I'll put it in the no chance, but it's teetering. It's teetering in that fun to think about because it's a fun young team. All right, is this the most absurd on our list? We have the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, okay, we know what LeBron said. He said, no chance. No chance. July 1st, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm staying in the league, but I'm not going to be a Laker next season. And then the Lakers go out and they get Walker Kessler, a player that I bet LeBron James would have maybe liked to play with on the Lakers. So what if, after all of this, he realizes that the grass actually isn't greener and they got maybe one or new patches of grass on his old grass. So I'll put it in no chance, but imagine the reaction that we would get after all this time of no news, him just going back and restructuring his deal, playing with his son with the Lakers again. Next up, Oklahoma City Thunder, of course, one of the best young teams, or perhaps the best young team in basketball, led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They did get rid of Lou Dort in this offseason, which we knew was going to be most likely knew was going to be coming up since Lou Dort didn't get his extension. They're going to be a very top-heavy team. But hey, assuming LeBron James isn't lying and he is being truthful by saying that he would play for any amount of money, it could still be a possibility. The fun thing to think about is imagining LeBron James living in Oklahoma City. A city I like, but a fun city to think about him living in. Fun to think about? Probably not. Surprised there wasn't more noise surrounding this team during this free agency period. Dallas Mavericks. If LeBron James went to the Dallas Mavericks, would there be any sort of full circle feeling from Mavericks fans? Oh, we got rid of Luka, but we got Anthony Davis, but we got rid of Anthony Davis, but now we have LeBron James again, and then maybe Anthony Davis comes back, and now we got Kyrie Irving with LeBron James in 2026. Is there any gratification of that happening? But plays alongside Cooper Flagg as a mentor, gets to live in Texas, no tax, any of that. No chance. And also a team that beat him in the finals, of course, historic 2011. But a fun team to think about him as a mentor on. Although the New York Knicks won the championship last season, I think this is still an interesting storyline, although there's been almost zero rumbling about LeBron James and the New York Knicks. I don't imagine they will be a favored team going into next season to win the championship, although they will be expected to be a very competitive team next year. Of course, huge market, one of the biggest sports markets in the world, and there's always been talks and ideas of LeBron James going to this franchise. Fun to think about, probably not. Should have been more talk about it. The fit, I think, is there, but that's it. Next up, let's do one of the ownership ones. What about Liverpool? Okay, I don't know football or soccer or anything. Okay, it's global brand. Liverpool is cool. Um, what foot does LeBron James kick with? I saw Bronny James do a nice corner goal kick at Fanatics Fest. Never seen LeBron James kick a football, soccer ball. So I'll put it in the absurd category, but it deserves a spot on this list. All right, number 30 on this list is the Denver Nuggets. Finally, we can kind of crack towards the top. Jokic, um, I might be even higher on him than some people are, and most people consider him to be one of the best or the best player in basketball today. The IQ between him and LeBron would be off the charts. The fit, I think, is there with these rotations they could offer. And I'm biased, but I just think Denver would be an awesome city for LeBron James to be a part of. Awesome market. I think he would love living there. I'd put it in that possible. I wish there would be more talk about it. I think the only talk we've actually had are for people in media that just think it would be a really cool fit. The Philadelphia 76ers is the one that I have the most thoughts about, and it actually makes sense, but I don't know if anything will actually come from it. I have no idea. I love the fit between Jaylen Brown and Tyrese Maxey. I think it needs to be Tyrese Maxey's team. Maxey and LeBron James were 1 and 2 in transition points last year. But then there's also not knowing exactly where Joel Embiid's head is going to be at next season. Uh, Between everyone I mentioned and VJ Edgecombe, is he going to be okay being maybe that third, fourth, I don't know, option in a given night? But I think VJ Edgecombe is inevitable with his potential. Um, Kind of worried about the development on the Sixers, given the way Jared McCain, given the way what happened there of him getting traded. But I think VJ Edgecombe is a few seasons away from being an all-star caliber player. So actually makes sense, but I feel like it's more of a fun 2K team when you factor in there's only one basketball at all times. Minnesota Timberwolves, I'll jump ahead. I'll put them in the possible but category. The acquisition of LaMelo Ball, I think, moves them up, and they've already been a competitive team these past few seasons. But I actually don't like the idea of having LeBron James playing with LaMelo Ball, who I imagine LeBron James would be a primary ball handler on that team, and LaMelo Ball, what would he do on that team if LeBron James was there besides the staggered minutes they would have? LeBron James next to Anthony Edwards, there is that Team USA connection there, and I don't mind that fit as much. But beyond that, beyond them being a competitive team, they are possible, but no real big movement there. Next, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. It would be his third stint in Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell's there. This is their big championship window. And even before the Darius Garland James Harden trade the past few seasons, we know that they've been missing a LeBron James small forward, point forward type player. So the fit has been there even before this sort of new look Cleveland Cavaliers team. I'll put them in actually makes sense, but I gotta say, having him next to James Harden is not something that I want to see. No offense to James Harden. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it is supposed to be towards him, but I don't want to see it. At the same time, if LeBron James could win another championship for the Cavaliers and James Harden could win his first championship, it's a pretty big story. That is pretty huge. Makes sense. I want to call it a safe pick, but not the one that I would pick off this list. 34 on this list are the San Antonio Spurs. Fun, young team. Victor Wembanyama could be a passing the torch moment. Gets to work somewhat in a way alongside Greg Popovich, even though he's not coaching now, and so much history between the San Antonio Spurs and LeBron James. Lives in Texas, no taxes there. Would he like that city? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Not sure about that either. It goes into possible, but no real talk about it during this offseason. We talked about the White Sox. Let's talk about the other Sox that LeBron James has a 1% or 2% stake in, and that is the Boston Red Sox. And it could be a fun headline saying that LeBron James would rather play for the Boston Red Sox than the Boston Celtics. I don't know, but he's part of that whole Fenway Sports group. And if LeBron James went to him and that group and said, "Hey, I want to be an owner slash player, put me in the low A league, and let's see what happens," it's going in the absurd category, of course. Next up, Golden State Warriors. Just got a few left. I thought the moment that Draymond Green opted out of his deal that we would hear some news about LeBron James going to the Golden State Warriors soon after that. The more and more we get past that moment, that time, the less I'm feeling like this is going to be the option for him. Steph Curry, LeBron James, I have a feeling this would be Adam Silver's pick. Besides just having LeBron James hurrying up and making a pick for a team, it actually makes sense. It doesn't make as much sense if we're talking about championships, but as far as legacy goes, the justification is there. He gets to play with the other biggest player of this basketball generation. And he gets to play golf, which I am tired of hearing about. So let's talk about that next. I thought about putting the PGA in here, but he's not a PGA level golfer, at least yet, or he just started playing like last year, right? So what if this? Because we know he played with J.R. Smith, who went back to college to play some college golf, and I think that's really cool, you know? When you're retired, you can do whatever you want. So, since LeBron James could never be eligible to play college basketball, what if he just goes to the University of Arizona, joins his other son Bryce there, and gets to play some college golf? Who says no? Who says no? He gets that college experience. He can go to the press conference and say that he did go to college, like that meme where he said he didn't go to college. I don't know, but of course we are putting it in the absurd category. And lastly, which is going right in the actually makes sense category and will be my top pick, is the Miami Heat. Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Heat culture, Giannis is there. They have improved, and they might be one piece away from competing in the Eastern Conference. I hate that so much weight has been put on LeBron for, a year 24 player trying to maybe move the needle for a championship level team. But from Fanatics Fest, the few comments he's made there, it certainly sounds like he wants to play beyond this year. So it doesn't need to be a last dance type deal. He could still go to Cleveland at some point, or he could play multiple years in Miami and watch that team improve. Go live back in South Beach. I'm sure that you wouldn't mind living there again. Maybe your family wouldn't mind living there again. And I gotta say, between the front office, Giannis, Heat culture, the the same coach he had on those championship teams, I think it makes the most sense out of all of them. So that's it, guys. Those are all of my possible LeBron James destinations, from most likely to most absurd. Let me know what I got wrong. I got to edit this before LeBron James posts anything before this morning. So like, subscribe again. Hope you guys enjoyed. Catch me on the normal episodes and the weekly YouTube episodes. I will see you next time.